What's going on, you guys? So, for the Supra fuel system, I ended up buying a cheap $35 fuel pressure regulator kit off eBay. So, I put it in the car. Let's see if it works. So here's the fuel pressure regulator that we bought. It came with a gauge. It came with a bunch of lines and fittings too. Surprisingly, these lines were not that bad. They actually looked like pretty decent quality lines. Came with a couple 90s, a couple straight fittings. Got a straight fitting down there. It came with all the adapters and everything. And here are some of the extra fittings that I didn't end up needing to use. A couple extra adapters for the regulator, another 90, a female to female 90, and it also came with a mounting bracket if I would have needed to use that. So surprisingly, it came with a decent amount of stuff on this kit. For 35 bucks, I was just like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, 35 bucks. So we're gonna start by keying it on. And it is regulating fuel pressure. So we're gonna go ahead and turn it and make sure it rises or lowers. So we're gonna back that off. Fuel pressure is dropping. Oh, that's pretty tight up there. So it looks like the lowest fuel pressure we can get on this regulator is like 30 PSI. And it raises up pretty easily as well. So we're gonna set our fuel pressure right around 57 though. So, yeah, right around there should be good. So now that we know the regulator works and adjusts fuel pressure, I wanna hook the vacuum regulator up to that and make sure that it does work as a rising rate. So if I add 1 pound, 2 pound, 3 pounds of boost, it will raise the fuel pressure up as well. So let's get that hooked up. So I went to go test that. The battery died on the car. So let me throw the car on a charger real quick and then we'll be able to test it because fuel pressure just started dropping before I could even hook it up and it won't crank up any higher. So that leads me to believe the battery's about to die and it's only showing like 8 volts on the dash. So I'm gonna throw a charger on this real quick and then we will test it again. Okay, so we got the battery all charged up on the car now. Fuel pump's working and regulator is building proper fuel pressure now. Right now we're at about 50 PSI fuel pressure. And if we take our regulator here, turn that up to 10 PSI, and you can see fuel pressure raised up to 61, 62. Back that down off, and we're down to about 51, 52. So, good news is it does work properly as a rising rate regulator. The pressure is adjustable, it's not leaking, and it seems to work fine. So now I'm going to pull it out of the car, and let's take it apart and inspect the inside of it and see how good the quality of the seals and all that stuff is. Now, one thing I do not like about these fittings is that they're not proper 6N size fittings. So normally a 6AN is 11/16 to get the fitting off there, but I think these ones are 3/4. I mean, it's not a huge deal. You can put different fittings on so they all match. Just kind of an inconvenience sometimes when you think you know what size something is and it turns out not being that size. It can be a headache, but I am not too worried about it because this thing was only 35 bucks. Okay, we have our regulator off the car right here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it up in the vise and let's take it apart. So from the inside of here, this is actually surprisingly clean in here. No major burrs or anything like that. Not too bad. And then we have our cap that the bolt pushes on to adjust the spring pressure. That is, not that great. Could have made that out of some better material probably. Throw a little grease on that too so it doesn't keep chewing it up. Spring for the pressure. Okay. And then we have our seal. I mean, the quality of the seal is questionable, that's for sure. Definitely wasn't leaking or anything like that, though. And not the best machining work on that either. You can see kind of see right in here. You can see tool marking, all that right there. Same story on this side right down in here. I mean, it's nothing too bad. Ours is set up. This is our inlet. This is our outlet to the rail. And then this center port is your return where the fuel will go back into. So basically the way this works is our fuel pressure comes in. This sits on top here, so that little bearing sits in there, which they should have machined that down and kind of tapered it so it would fit in there a little bit better. That would have been a nice touch. But your spring pressure goes on there, so fuel pressure pushes in until you're at your regulated pressure, and then that opens up, lifts up, fuel goes out to the return. You have your boost coming into the top to help equalize and push down on that to seal it, and that's how you get the rising rate regulator effect. So overall, the quality of this is actually not terrible. For 35 bucks, it's way better than I thought it would be. The seal isn't one of the better seals that I've seen, but it's definitely not one of the worst. I think this will actually hold up and last for quite a while. But for 35 bucks, it was worth it. Yeah, definitely worth it. So yeah, quick little teardown of a $35 fuel pressure regulator off eBay that I got with all that line fittings, everything like that. You really can't go wrong. So I will be sure to update you guys once I get some good use on it. I used a similar one on my other Supra and it worked great. So that's going to be it for this one though. So like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you're new, follow the build along, and I'll catch you guys later.